Hello guys, Croftus here. I recently watched Alien Romulus and in my opinion it's a really good and solid Alien movie, exactly what the franchise needed to revive attention from the mainstream. This video is going to be a review and my thoughts on the movie, and I'll post a detailed breakdown pretty soon. Obviously, it's a bit disappointing that we didn't get to see the actual engineers. Well, we sort of got a version of them at the very end. But the great thing is that the central element of the movie directly connects to Prometheus. So let's cover everything in order. There's probably gonna be many people who didn't like this movie, and there's even a new phenomenon in the mainstream that I like to call the outrage culture, when people get really upset and outraged when a movie didn't match their expectations. However, my expectations were pretty low going into the theaters, so I actually quite enjoyed Alien Romulus. Alien Romulus really feels like an alien movie with old Nostromo tech sounds and interfaces. I would say the sound is one of the best aspects of this movie. It captures this nostalgic alien vibe from the first movie, and it quite literally revives the alien. The cold open scene was really good. It really throws you back to the original Alien, and there is something about the sound and the whole epic vibe of that scene that's just incredible. And overall, this movie was way better than I expected, and I would actually say this is my fourth favorite Alien movie, right after the original Alien, Prometheus and Covenant. Because of the heavy criticism that Prometheus and Covenant faced, particularly from a financial perspective, it's understandable why the engineer's storyline was sidelined and not central to Romulus. The Alien fanbase is sort of divided on this topic, although we still got a version of an engineer at the very end. But what I think Alien Romulus manages to do, which is almost miraculous, is to appeal to and satisfy different segments of the Alien fanbase. With almost every Alien movie, a portion of the fanbase is left upset and disappointed. For some reason, the Alien fanbase is sort of fractured and segmented. There are people who really like the first Alien movie but don't like Aliens or Alien 3. Then there's the opposite, people who really like Aliens and the Colonial Marines aspect of the franchise, but don't like Prometheus and Covenant. And yet there's another segment of the fanbase who loved Prometheus and Alien Covenant and wanted to see the continuation of the engineer's storyline. So it's really hard, almost impossible, to make a movie that would please all Alien fans. However, I feel like this movie almost succeeds at this task. It has elements from the original Alien with its horror aspects, and at the same time it's similar to the second movie Aliens with the exploration of the xenomorph hive and shooting xenomorphs. It also has some comedic tones, kind of like in Alien Resurrection, and it even manages to include some themes and direct storylines from Prometheus. Also, and overall, the movie has a strong Alien Isolation game vibe, which is really cool. It feels like Alien Romulus combines the best elements from all previous Alien movies in a pretty unique and refreshing way. However, I also see many people disliking this aspect of Alien Romulus because it makes it look like an amalgamation of all the stuff that we have already seen. This movie is an isolated story within the Alien franchise. It doesn't have this grandiose aura like Prometheus or Alien Covenant, which changed the Alien lore in many ways. However, Alien Romulus is a really enjoyable movie. It's actually kind of refreshing to see new characters and explore life on one of the Weyland-Yutani colonies. Showing the harsh daily reality of the colonists really added realism to the entire movie. It's obviously disappointing that the movie didn't touch on any of the engineer lore that I really liked in Prometheus and Covenant. However, I think overall this movie will get a really good reception and almost revive interest in this franchise from the mainstream audiences, which could eventually lead to Alien Awakening, because there's still so many fans who really want to see how David's storyline ends. The big problem with Alien Covenant was that it either made very little money or lost money, since we don't have the exact figures for the marketing budget. But what we know for sure is that it was not financially successful. However, just in the opening weekend, Romulus made back its budget and even more, earning 110 million. So Romulus will be a financial success, which means that we might get a sequel to Alien Covenant. And now let's dive into some major plot points of the movies, so be aware of the spoilers. Like I said previously, I really liked the cold open scene where the probe ship recovers the frozen big chap from the original Alien. There's just something really sinister and epic about that scene. It was almost like Weyland-Yutani scientists have discovered an ancient evil. I also suspect that some people may be upset since recovering the xenomorph that Ripley expelled into space sort of undermines what she did in the original Alien. I can see how this could be the case, but for some reason it doesn't really bother me that they recovered the alien that Ripley defeated. This movie is packed with visual and audio elements from the original Alien, leaning heavily into nostalgia, but in this particular case it actually works, because it's something that we haven't seen in other Alien films. While nostalgia can sometimes feel forced and silly in movies, here it actually enhances the atmosphere, building the world of Weyland-Yutani colonization in a really compelling way. This brings me to another aspect that I really liked. We get an in-depth look at daily life on the Weyland-Yutani colonies, and it's far from pleasant. Workers are deprived of sunlight, lied to, and coerced into staying on these harsh mining colonies. This portrayal of the exploitative nature of capitalism is reminiscent of the original Alien and adds a layer of realism to the story. The characters is another strong point of the movie. Each one has a unique aspect, making them believable and relatable. Their individual intentions and personalities play off each other in a way that feels authentic and engaging. Another standout element is Andy's upgrade. Alien Romulus introduces some fresh and unique ideas about synthetics and their interactions with humans. For example, Andy being bullied by Bjorn is something we haven't seen before. Although it reminds me of how Charlie Holloway was passive-aggressive towards David in Prometheus. However, because Andy is damaged and in dire need for an upgrade, he's unable to respond to Bjorn. But after his upgrade aboard the Renaissance station, he basically takes control of the entire situation and leads the survivors to safety. The revival of synthetic Rook, who is essentially Ash from the first Alien, is another interesting aspect. Although the CGI for Rook was surprisingly bad, the character added a menacing corporate presence on the station. Not only does Rook look identical to Ash because he's the same model, but he also shares the same cold and calculating personality. While the movie uses the somewhat cheesy trope of bringing back an old villain, it works quite well in this context because Rook isn't the same character, but rather represents the same evil force that led to the massacre on the Nostromo. Rook's ability to follow the crew and communicate with them throughout random screens is both creepy and sinister, giving the impression that he's an evil, omnipotent entity that they can't escape from. And this adds a layer of tension and dread to the film. There's one particularly interesting moment when Rook warns the crew to kill Navarro if they want to survive, since he knows that the alien is already growing inside of her, but no one listens to him. Although Rook's actions are unethical, this initial attempt to protect the humans further complicates the understanding of synthetics' morality, making them more nuanced characters. Another highlight for me was finally getting to see the cocoon stage of the xenomorph life cycle. It was always a bit of a mystery how the chestburster grows into an adult xenomorph. However, Alien Romulus reveals this process in a visually stunning way, especially since it was all done using practical effects. The chestburster essentially absorbs the materials around it, metals, plastics, and anything around its cocoon to incorporate into its organism. The cocoon is grotesque and disturbing, perfectly capturing the horror of the xenomorph evolution. Another fascinating moment was when Bjorn tried to electrocute the xenomorph. However, instead of killing it, the electricity seemed to accelerate its mutation, and later in the movie we can actually see electricity coursing through the xenomorph's dome, suggesting that the electrocution altered its physiology, allowing it to incorporate electricity into its being. The exploration of zero gravity was another unique aspect that Alien Romulus brought to the franchise. Surprisingly, this hadn't been explored in previous Alien movies. The depiction of acid flowing in zero gravity was particularly chilling and terrifying, but one of my favorite aspects was the Romulus lab and its connection to Prometheus. Given the controversial response to Prometheus, I did not expect to see any ties to the prequels. So it was a really pleasant surprise to discover that the black goo was pretty much central to the story of Alien Romulus and what happened on that station. The scene where Rook explains that they have extracted the black goo from xenomorphs and refined it into an enhancement product was both chilling and brilliant, almost like a seamless bridge between the prequels and the main Alien storyline. However, it's not exactly clear why they needed to extract it from xenomorphs when they could have simply visited LV-223. Then again, we don't know exactly how Weyland-Yutani operates. There could be different divisions within the company working independently. It's also important to note that this is an older compartment of the company, Romulus, possibly indicating that the studio is saving David's storyline for future films. However, this movie confirms that Weyland-Yutani knew about xenomorphs long before sending Ripley to investigate Hadley's Hope colony, making the company's actions even more sinister. The final scene, however, is where the horror truly escalates. The scene was deeply disturbing and visceral, and to me it was even scarier than the xenomorphs themselves. So in the movie, Kay injects herself with the compound Z01, Weyland-Yutani's version of the black goo derived from facehuggers, and the result is the grotesque mutation of the human fetus inside her, transforming it into a creature that bears resemblances to both xenomorphs and engineers. While this last scene almost feels like it belongs in a different movie, I think it worked exceptionally well, adding a shocking and unexpected twist to the film. Seeing an engineer-like creature was a surprising nod to Prometheus and Covenant. This hybrid creature was truly scary. It was like an abomination of a human and alien. It was horrifying on a primal level, evoking a powerful sense of disgust and the belief that this monstrosity shouldn't exist. The creature's pitch-black eyes and the gills-like textures on its neck are reminiscent of the engineers. We still don't fully understand what the pathogen or the black goo from LV-223 was, but it seems that the engineers attempted to reverse engineer the blood of the first deacon, a substance used in the opening scene of Prometheus to create life on Earth. However, engineers didn't fully succeed, and the black goo ended up producing extremely hostile mutations, the opposite effect of the goldish substance in the opening scene. The black goo from the LV-223 temple contained the xenomorph DNA, which is how David was able to revive the creatures in Alien Covenant. So in Alien Romulus, Weyland-Yutani managed to extract the black goo from facehuggers and made some modifications to it. So it appears that the black goo has DNA of both xenomorphs and engineers, since it was initially created to mimic the blood of the first deacon, a creature that allowed engineers to create new life and procreate, suggesting that the black goo was almost like engineers' blood. As a result, when Kay injected the Z01 pathogen, the hybrid fetus displayed engineered traits, such as pale skin, black eyes, and gills-like textures which looked extremely creepy and disturbing. Alien Romulus was directed by Fede Alvarez and produced by Ridley Scott, and the movie clearly displayed Scott's influence, especially in the final act. It's highly likely that the inclusion of the hybrid creature was at Scott's insistence, given his interest in exploring space jockeys. In overall, the creature represents a grotesque blend of human, engineer, and xenomorph. It suggests that the production team and perhaps Ridley Scott himself have not abandoned the engineer's storyline. This opens up the possibility that engineers or space jockeys may play a significant role in future films, especially since the black goo is involved in Weyland-Yutani's experiments. Thank you guys for watching. What are your thoughts about Alien Romulus? Let me know in the comments. While the movie does have its flaws, my overall excitement far outweighs any potential issues. After waiting for so long for a new Alien movie, I'm feeling pretty positive about it. Also, don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed it and subscribe to the channel for more content. My name is Croft and I'll see you in the next video.